All right, I'm going to talk about three guys here that are returning for Georgia that I think could really make a big difference in 2024, and that's Nazir Stackhouse, Tate Ratledge, and of course Xavier Truss is coming back for what is his COVID year now. I don't know if the other guys are COVID. Well, Nazir is going to be a COVID as well. We're waiting to hear from uh, Brinson as well, but I don't know what will happen there. But he's not declared as of the time I've recorded this. So why do those guys matter? For Georgia, I think the biggest thing is you're now returning four of your five starters from the offensive line from this past year. I mean that's a lot of stability that you can lean on coming into a year where you know you're going to be the favorite for the national championship. You're not going to be the exclusive. You're going to be the most favored team, I should say. You're not the favorite. You're not like 50%. No, that's not what it is. But they are the leading candidate to win the national championship. And part of that's because of the depth that Kirby and them have developed and brought in and developed over time. But the return of Tate Ratledge, the return of Xavier Truss, it gives you the ability on the offensive line, again, to bring back 4 out of 5 guys who have started lately. Tate and Truss, I know Tate started the national championship game. I believe Truss did as well. There's nothing they've missed. I mean, like they understand all these moments. Nazir coming back gives you the ability to have some stability on the defensive line. Now that's a different conversation because I think with the defensive line, you're losing, you've lost some really good players over these last few years. Now that's why you recruit, but you've lost some really good players over these last few years, and it does matter that you return people who've been there before. I think that in Nazir's case, being as old as he is, that helps a lot too. So getting back to my point a minute ago, Amarius Mims and Tate Ratledge both started in the national championship game against Texas Christian. Nazir Stackhouse started in the national championship game against Texas Christian. I mean, like, unless something strange happens, Smile Munden will be back from that national championship start. You've still got guys that have their tentacles back at that time. A lot of these people have left, but you're returning 3 players from 2 seasons ago that have experience playing in that moment, in that time. And I think that that matters. Why? Well, on the offensive line, again, you're not going to be – the offensive line, you're essentially figuring out who your center is. And, I mean, that's not going to be that complicated to figure out because it's probably going to be Wilson, okay? But you're returning Truss, Routledge, Morris, Fairchild, Wilson, Green, Bobo, Freeling, Hewley, Smith, and Merriweather as of today. You've got Freeling and Green have both played a lot, okay? Obviously, Green starting at this point. He would be one of the guys, or one of the starters. He started some. And then Fairchild, Morris, and Wilson are all guys that are coming into their own right now. This is going to be a really good offensive line at Georgia. They're going to be really good. And I want to just add, the freshmen that they brought in, these were as high a quality. I think they got everybody they wanted. I'll put it to you this way. I'm not aware of anyone that they missed out on that they wanted Georgia from my discussions behind the scenes. So they got exactly what they wanted. Now on the defensive side of the ball, again with Nazir, Nazir's been around the block for a while now. And, when you look at the return of Ingham Dawkins, Miller has had a much better career already than I thought he would. So I'll just say that, Christian Miller already from Cedar Grove. But Holland Jared, you got Miller, Ingham Dawkins, Williams, Brinson, and I don't know about Brinson, but I'm assuming Brinson might come back. And Stackhouse, well, that's a pretty good start to what what you're working with. I mean, you lose Jefferson, Madden, Logue, and Walthour. You had to lose Walthour. He had to go. He was out of eligibility. But if you're starting with 7 guys that you feel pretty comfortable with, now Williams is going to move around a little bit more. He's not just going to be on the defensive line. So keep that in mind. But, it looks like at linebacker, you got Walker, Munden, Chambliss back. Those guys have played a lot of football at Georgia. And so I think in that case, you've got to be comfortable with what Georgia's returning if you're Kirby in them. All over the defense, but very specifically on the offensive line. I mean, very specifically. Speaking of really nice, this is the River's Edge bench from Eco Poly, our buddies down there in the heart of Georgia, Dodge County. Look, they've been such a great sponsor, but don't worry about that part. Think about what this bench will do for you and how much time you can spend watching your children, grandchildren, spending time with others on it. You can customize the colors. I'm showing you red and black here. If you've got a beach house, if you've got a lake house, a mountain house, or just your regular house, this is got a 20-year warranty on it. It's made of completely recycled plastics. I mean, I talk about EcoPoly a lot because they matter to us, and this is a great quality product for y'all. It'd be one thing if I were just pitching it. It's another if you're literally sitting in it every single day, as I do. I've not switched this chair since I got it. Well, there's a reason why. So our friends down there are going to get you exactly what you want. It's got a 20-year warranty. Make sure you're taking advantage of that today. I think if you're Georgia, you take advantage of how good this offensive line is going to be. I mean, you're returning Carson Beck. You're returning a very good offensive line. Teams like Georgia and Alabama, they're kind of always going to have really good players, particularly on the interior. But this line, coupled with what they brought in at running back, Georgia, I don't think at running back really got where it wanted to go until later in the year when Kendall was healthy, Kendall Milton. You're going to see them have the ability to throw a lot of bodies at other teams. The run game could be really damaging for Georgia in 2024 because, you're returning Branson Robinson. You're having the addition of all of these, younger players, but then you also bring in ETN. So you're getting some serious firepower, a lot of, moving parts. You're going to have 6 or 7 running backs, I'm thinking. That's a lot of guys to really do damage with. And you've got to have peanut butter for your jelly. And that offensive line, I mean, that thing is the real deal. It's what it looks like to me because of the return of Ratledge. I mean, Ratledge helps you a lot. Truss will give you the ability to play a lot of different positions. He started at left tackle. He's played a lot of guard for Georgia through the years. I've never seen him play center in a game, but I think that you're really where you want to be going into 24 with this offensive line. This is an experienced one. Now, does it have a high-level NFL draft pick? Well, Ernest Green might be. Yeah, he might be. And I think this return to school gives Ratledge the ability to go even higher than he would have this year. But Morris and Fairchild were out there mauling people at the end of the year. And I mean, that's what you want. If you can control the line of scrimmage, there's so much that you can do. Michigan, who we'll see play on Monday night for the national championship, Michigan has good big guys. They don't have unbelievable skill players like you see in the SEC. But what they're doing is, and how they beat Alabama, besides both teams really playing poorly, they're holding their own or winning the offensive line. The line of scrimmage. And, that's why they finally beat an SEC team. It's been rough out there for Michigan against SEC schools. But they beat one the other day because they were able to hang with Alabama on the line. I don't know that they dominated them, but they hung in there. Georgia's going to really pound a lot of people with the offensive line they've got. On the defensive side of things, your mind always goes back to the 21 team and the ability to completely snuff out any run game. These linebackers Georgia's got, they're really going to be good. The defensive line is not going to be as good as the linebackers. They're just not. Now, the secondary is going to be pretty good too. But, their linebackers are really, you got Munden back, Walker, Chambliss. Bowles looked good. There were times in the Orange Bowl where I didn't know who that was, the number on the field, because they'd only played so much, and here they are flying up the ball. They have some real deal. I mean, I didn't even mention Allen, who was basically a starter at the end of the season. So you got the return of Allen, Walker, Munden, and Chambliss. Wilson looked really good at times. I mean, they are loaded up at linebacker. I think you'd love to have even more, be loaded more up more on the defensive line. That they're not quite there the way they are at linebacker. And I'm telling you, these freshman linebackers are the real deal. The freshman linebackers that they brought in and the freshman offensive linemen are both the real deal. They are scary, freaky deeks, and that's going to be what powers Georgia for a while.